Hello guys, and welcome to the channel. Featuring in this video is a lovely black and white themed system, combining a blend of new and used components, and with the aim of the build to be specifically used for music production, and to be built as cheaply as possible. The Gigabyte H87M-HD3 motherboard is the board that I've selected to be at the heart of the system, running a 3.5 GHz Intel i5-4690K processor, which has 4 cores and 4 threads, built on the 22nm process and has a maximum turbo frequency of 3.9 GHz. The board supports 4th generation Intel Core i7, i5 and i3 processors, and Intel Celeron processors in the LGA 1150 package. Running on the Intel H87 Express chipset with 2 DDR3 DIMM sockets supporting up to 16GB of system memory and dual channel memory architecture. Support for DDR3 1600 and 1333 MHz memory modules, integrated Intel HD graphics and a Realtek Gigabit LAN chip. We have one PCI Express Gen 3 X16 slot running at X16 speed, 2 PCI Express Gen 2 X1 slots and 1 PCI slot. This was purchased in a bundle off eBay for £38.29 and included an 8GB stick of Kingston HyperX Fury DDR3 memory and a spare CPU cooler. Before doing any building, let's just get a little desk rig together and perform a boot post check to check that everything is working as intended. Intel processors with the K suffix indicate that the CPU can be overclocked above its base clock frequency. The processor has integrated graphics or an iGPU, capable of tasks such as video playback and casual gaming. Right, so we've got everything connected, so I'll just short the power switch pins with the jumper and she should spring into life. And that is exactly what we like to see. All appears to be working beautiful. Switch her off now and take out this 8GB stick of Kingston HyperX Fury, because instead we'll be using 2 8GB sticks of Kingston HyperX Fury DDR3 memory modules, costing £27.50, again from eBay. I could have probably shaven off £10 or so if I'd have sourced a single 8GB memory module in black, but I'm fairly confident that the extra £10 will be worth it when it all comes together. Let's just test these modules now to verify that they are working. lovely stuff, they appear to be working and showing as 16,384 megabytes, which is excellent. So up to this point, all of the components that I am using have been used from eBay, costing a total of £65.79. The following components have been purchased brand new from eBay. The CIT Luna Micro ATX gaming case in white is the case that I've selected for the build to reside in, combined with a CIT ATV Pro 500 watt 80 plus bronze non-modular ATX power supply and the Patriot P210 512GB 2.5-inch SATA 3 SSD, costing £99.15, bringing the grand total of this build to £164.94. I could have indeed reduced the cost further if I had purchased a used case, PSU and SSD. I'll tell you now why I did not purchase those particular items in used condition. Brand new cases and SSDs are relatively cheap these days, and that was my primary reason on the decision on them. And the PSU, well, there are many reasons to just invest in a brand new one. You do not get a warranty when buying used. How long has the supply been running? Is it full of dust? Will I be the unfortunate one who turns it on and it decides to blow? At least by purchasing a brand new power supply, you can have some peace of mind. If you're on a budget, a build like this is a perfect base to build upon. There are many different upgrade options available. For example, the processor could be replaced with an Intel i7-4790K, a 4GHz, 4-core 8-thread processor with a max turbo frequency of 4.4 GHz and would cost you around £60 to £70 on eBay, which is a reasonably cheap upgrade. If you decided that you would quite like to start playing some games, the Nvidia GeForce GTX 980, similar to this one, only without the missing fan, can be picked up for between £60 and £100, depending on your preference, and would certainly get you into the entry-level 1080p gaming scene. And with all that potential in mind, sit back, relax, and enjoy the building process. That is all of the building work now complete, so let's fire her up and see if everything is working.
The lights.
Well, the machine appears to be working, but we're not getting any power to the case fans, so let us do a little investigating. And that's it. That's all there is. I'd simply missed connecting a SATA power cable to the fan controller. Ha, silly me. Let's try that again then, and this time we should get a much better result. That's more like it. Now that everything externally looks good, let's have a look in the BIOS to check that it is seeing our newly installed SSD. And there she is. Lovely. So we can now reboot, put in my USB Windows 10 boot pen and start the process of installing Windows. We'll just skip the Windows install process and move on to yet another rather tedious task, also known as cable management. This is the final part of the build before closing up the case, and it feels like it takes longer than the actual building part. Although this is not a very enjoyable part of building PCs, it is rather satisfying seeing the end result. And before closing up the case, this is now how it looks. Much tidier, and to be hidden away until the next time someone needs to take a peek inside. Around the visual side it also looks nice, clean and tidy. I think it's time for a quick photo montage. As I had stated earlier in the video, this machine had cost £164.94. That is without the keyboard, mouse or monitor, but I am really pleased with how it's starting to look altogether, and it is better than I had imagined. I never expected it to look so good for so little. Before this machine is sent out to its customer, I will spend some time performing a couple of benchmarks to be sure that everything is working properly. I may even throw in the GTX 980 to use as a comparison to the integrated on-chip Intel HD 4600 graphics. I will also probably spend the time to repaste the CPU with some nice new thermal paste, as I cannot be sure if a new application has been applied before purchasing or how long it has been since the last repaste. This will ensure that the processor runs within its temperature range and we don't encounter any thermal throttling as a result of high temperatures, all of which will be explored in another video, which brings this build video to a close. Please leave me some comments as they are always greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching and take care guys.